Don't attack me. Don't touch me.
Dirty Rotten Scandals, Bob Barker and The Price is Right. Final part, and a lot of you have been asking where to watch this. Some of these are getting posted on the red play button situation, right? But it's going to depend greatly country to country. So my best advice is to type it in, E-Network, Dirty Rotten Scandals, where to watch, and then you'll be able to see, because it's just, I've seen so many comments, it is wildly different from country to country, so that's probably the best you're going to do. That being said, now we were talking about Claudia Jordan in the last part, and when she comes in, and she has a producer start coming after her pretty much right away. Kathleen Bradley felt like Claudia Jordan came in to replace her because you have to remember she was the first black woman who was cast as a permanent Barker's Beauty. However, when she said that, Claudia said this, and it was just the wholesome women supporting women moment we needed right now.
It's happy time.
I'm so glad they were smart and just replaced me with such a beautiful person.
I could never replace you, but it was an honor because I used to watch you and you already know this. You already know how I feel about you, so. And it was bittersweet. I was happy to work there, but I hated why, because I loved you from afar, and then I got to know you, and I love you from up close. And it just was wrong. It really was, and we were all done wrong, all three of us.
I just really like that energy, and this one is so heavy, my gosh, especially because Claudia's time at the network gets really dark really fast. Remember in the last couple parts, we had talked about that producer, that dude, who was hired over a woman who was way more qualified for the job because of nepotism. He was hired at a salary it took her 10 years to get. Well, go figure, he's a total creep.
I was at the touch-up station before you go on stage where you can like fix your makeup and just last looks. And I was in the mirror and I was kind of like bent over a little bit, and Phil came right behind me and his face was like right here. And I felt a hand on my butt. He like cupped my butt cheek and he was like, nice ass. And then he just walked off. And I was like, what? Like, did anyone see that?
Obviously, Claudia is not down with this and does report it, and that's one of my least favorite arguments a lot of people make to the, well, why did you report it? Do you know how many reports out there have gone just completely unattended to because the report is only as good as the agency that you're reporting it to? And in this case, Bob was in charge. So nothing was done, not to mention things started getting real weird around there. She noticed that no matter what time she got there, she was always perpetually 3 minutes late and had a little bit of a suspicion that Philip, the creep, was messing with the clocks. Then one night, Bob comes into her dressing room and they want to have a conversation. So she's oh my God, thankfully, he's coming to talk to me about this because it's Philip, Bob, and her.
So if you're late one more time, you will be suspended. And if you're late again after that, then you will be fired. Wait, what? Wait, that's all we're gonna talk about is me being 1 or 2 minutes late, not your right-hand man inappropriately touching me? Bob cut me off and he said, well, he said he was sorry.
He said he was sorry?
You like that, old man?
Wow, what was that? Did you see that? What? How'd that get in there? That's crazy. But over this time, they're still treating Claudia terribly. There's a lot of profiling, a lot of really backhanded comments being made that are obviously motivated towards something. And over time, she just feels worn down. And if you ever watch The Price is Right, you remember there would be a moment where Barker's Beauties got to come out and they would speak on the microphone. And she went out and pretty much said, I quit. I cannot do this anymore. And she filed a lawsuit the next day. This next part and this part really harken back to why him and Diane broke up, but it wasn't really a breakup. He was using his power and his position to control her. In this, they did draw a lot of comparisons between Barker and Weinstein, and it's very, very close. Not to mention, the attorney who represented some of the women from Price is Right also represented women in the Weinstein situation and is very knowledgeable about that, and that's who made the comparison, so I'm going to go ahead and take it. Profiling extended beyond what we've even spoken about with Diane, with Claudia, and with Kathleen. It extended to the studio audience. They were instructed to only pick 2 black people per episode, and they were also instructed to try to find stereotypes. Then you saw how Bob actually treated people, and he's running around saying, don't attack me, don't touch me, and this was all aired on national television.
And then I started to hear that they were only allowed to have 2 black contestants on the show at a time. And that was a direct instruction from Bob Barker. And to let Barker know the race of the contestant that's about to come on down, they would have the letter B written on the card. A black contestant may try to hug Bob Barker, and he would kind of shrink away from them.
Adon has won a car and the prize is left. You won a car. Yes, don't attack me. Don't touch me.
Now, remember the lawsuit that Claudia filed against the network when she quit? That has a happy ending, and a lot of this, now, remember the lawsuit that Claudia had filed against the network? Now, she had quit right around this general time, so she wins. She gets a little settlement, but the best part of it is that Phil guy that we were talking about actually gets fired, and she has the distinction of being one of the only people whose attacker was let go from the network. Back to Holly's lawsuit. Now, we've talked about this with this coverage. They jumped around a little bit. I think it's in chronological order, but it's still a little confusing because Holly's lawsuit has been going on all this time because Bob is still fighting it. And remember, he has the money from CBS. This has been going on for 5 years at this point. But Holly is not backing down. She was offered a settlement, but she had to sign an NDA. And she said, I'm absolutely not doing that. So wouldn't you know it, a couple days before it was supposed to go to trial, they pull the lawsuit.
Last thing they want is a public trial with testimony by all of the witnesses who are corroborating Holly Hallstrom's version of events. But more importantly, she doesn't back down. She says, I'm going to file a lawsuit against Bob Barker for malicious prosecution.
The amazing part about this is that she did fight back, and she wasn't going to back down because malicious prosecution is a problem. It happens a lot. And she really thought, she's like, you know what? If you can do this just because you have a ton of money, there is no justice. And she did end up getting justice, but it took, like I was telling you in the part before this, it took years. She lost her house, she was living out of her car, she was staying with friends, until finally her suit is about to go to trial. But with trial come pesky little things like discovery, witness testimony, all that good stuff Bob didn't want anyone to hear, so they settled. She got everything that she asked for and no NDA. At the end of the day, they are hit with all kinds of lawsuits, 9 to be exact, from female employees, everything from harassment to wrongful termination. Some of them are won, some of them are not. Some get settlements, some don't. But around 2007, the pressure's getting pretty heavy on the network. They've had to pay out a lot, and that's not thinking about the ones we don't know about, because if they were smart enough not to let a lawsuit be filed, we would never know. So Bob Barker retires in 2007 and passes away shortly after that. He still has a sparkling legacy, which all of this was all very public, and everyone just kind of chose to ignore it, so that's a problem. But that's it for this one. I'm going to take a couple days off because the news cycle this month has been terrible, and I'll see you in a little bit. Have a good one.